The laugh of the alien queen in simple, basic English, 800+ words, written in third-person style with suspense and a strong hook, ending every sentence with a comma. The cold air inside the alien throne room was heavy and sharp. Lights from strange machines blinked on the walls, glowing blue and green. In the center of the room stood the alien queen, Zilara, her tall shadow stretching across the floor. She was huge, 8 feet tall, with dark violet skin, sharp claws, and eyes that glowed like burning stars. Around her, soldiers in shining armor stood still, their weapons ready. The queen's voice echoed through the hall, cold and mocking. Before her, a human soldier stood, hands tied behind his back. His face was bruised, his uniform torn, but his eyes were steady. His name was Captain Rourke, one of the last humans captured after the war between Earth and the alien empire. Instead of killing him, they brought him to the queen. She wanted to see the human who had led a squad deep into her territory. She looked down at him and smiled, showing sharp teeth. "You are the famous human who dared to fight my armies," she said, laughing. "You look weak, so small, like a fragile toy." The aliens around her laughed too, their voices loud and cruel. One of her advisors, a thin alien with green skin, stepped forward and sneered. "Why don't we use him for experiments, my queen?" The advisor said. "Or maybe," the advisor laughed, "you can breed with him and see if he is good for anything." The hall burst into more laughter. The idea of the mighty queen breeding with a human was a joke to them. But then, the human raised his head and smiled. He looked the queen in the eyes, his voice steady and calm. "Maybe you should try," Rourke said. "Maybe you'll learn something new about humans." The room fell silent for a moment. No one had ever dared to speak to the queen like that. Zilara's eyes narrowed, her smile fading just a little. Then she laughed again, louder this time. "You are brave for a small creature," she said. "Or maybe just foolish." She stepped down from her throne, her footsteps heavy and slow. When she stood in front of Rourke, she looked down at him, studying his face. There was something in his eyes, not fear, not hate, but something else. Curiosity perhaps, or confidence. "Tell an E-human," Zilara asked. "Why are you not afraid?" "Because I know what humans are," Rourke answered. "We are more than what you see. We are stronger than you think." His words made her pause. For centuries, her kind had ruled planets, crushed species, destroyed anyone who resisted. Humans were new to the galaxy, yet they fought harder than anyone she had ever faced. Still, the idea of breeding with one of them was laughable. But her pride pushed her forward. She wanted to prove that humans were nothing special. She wanted to crush this human's confidence. "Fine," she said with a smirk. "Let us see if your species is worth anything. Let us see if you can make the impossible happen." Her court watched in shock, but no one dared to speak against the queen's decision. She ordered the guards to take Rourke to her private chambers. The human walked without fear, his head high. As the doors closed behind them, Zilara felt a strange feeling inside her chest. She tried to ignore it, blaming it on anger or curiosity. But deep inside, something else was waking up, something she couldn't understand yet. In her private chambers, she stood before the human again. "You still smile," she said, crossing her arms. "Do you really think you can impress me?" "I don't need to impress you," Rourke replied. "You'll see the truth soon enough." His confidence was like a spark in the dark. For the first time in centuries, the queen felt unsure. But she shook the feeling away. She was the queen. Powerful, feared, unchallenged. This was just a game to her, a way to prove her dominance. As the night passed, strange thoughts filled her mind. She dreamed of Earth, of blue skies and green forests. She dreamed of battles and victories, but also of peace and laughter. She woke up restless, confused by the dreams. Days passed, and the queen began to feel changes in her body. Her strength remained, but her senses became sharper. She felt warmer, her mind more restless. She called her scientists and demanded tests. They brought her results that made the entire palace freeze in disbelief. The alien queen Zalara was pregnant with a human child. She roared in rage, smashing the walls with her claws. How is this possible? She demanded. No one could answer. Her advisors begged her to kill the human before it was too late, but she didn't. Something inside her told her to wait, to see what would come of this. And in his cell, Rourke smiled quietly. He knew this was only the beginning. He knew that everything was about to change. And far above, in the cold stars, other eyes began to watch. The unexpected change with a unique, engaging tone, written in third person, simple basic English, and with commas at sentence ends. The alien queen sat on her throne. But something was wrong. Her body, once strong and perfect, felt strange. Her mind, once sharp and focused, now buzzed with strange thoughts. She tried to ignore it, but the feeling grew every hour. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't focus. For the first time in her life, the queen felt weak. She called her best doctors, her sharpest minds. They poked and scanned, ran their machines. Then they stopped, their faces pale, their eyes wide. One doctor whispered to the queen, "My queen, the tests, they show something impossible." She grabbed the doctor by the neck, lifting him off the ground. "Speak," she growled, her voice cold as ice. "You are pregnant, my queen," the doctor said, trembling, "with the human's child." Room went silent. Not a single sound, not a single breath. Even the guards stood frozen. The mighty queen, the ruler of many worlds, was carrying a human's child. She threw the doctor aside, roaring in rage. Her claws ripped the stone walls. She smashed machines, tore banners. This could not be. It was against everything she knew. It was against her nature, against her power. She stormed to the prison where the human was kept. Captain Rourke sat calmly, as if waiting for her. She grabbed the bars, bending them with her hands. Her eyes burned with fury. "What did you do to me, human?" she screamed. Rourke stood and faced her. "I told you," he said with a small smile. "Humans are full of surprises." The queen shook the ground with her roar. She wanted to tear him apart, but something inside her stopped her. She didn't understand this feeling. It was not just rage, it was fear, curiosity, and something else she couldn't name. "You will pay for this," she hissed. "Maybe," Rourke replied, "or maybe you'll see it was meant to be." His calmness burned her pride. She stormed away, but her mind was a storm itself. She locked herself in her chambers, staring at her reflection. Her body was changing, not in a weak way, but in a new way. She felt stronger in some places, sharper in others. Her senses were different. She could hear more, see more, but her emotions, they became messy. She felt warmth sometimes. Sometimes she laughed without knowing why. Then she would cry, alone, in the dark. "What is happening to me?" she whispered to herself. Her people whispered too. Rumors spread through the palace. Some called it a curse. Others called it a miracle. Many demanded the human be killed at once. But the queen refused, not because of mercy, but because she needed answers. She visited Rourke again, in secret. He sat calmly, like he was waiting for her every time. "Tell me, what is this?" she asked, her voice lower. "What is growing inside me?" "It's a new life," Rourke said. "A life that carries both our strengths, both species together." The queen shook her head. "No, it is an abomination," she said. Rourke only smiled. "Or it is evolution," he whispered. That word echoed in her mind. Evolution, change, something her kind never thought they needed. They believed they were already perfect. But if that was true, why was she feeling stronger? Why was her mind clearer in new ways? Why was she dreaming of things she never saw? Blue skies, oceans, green forests. Days turned into weeks. The queen's body grew faster. She could feel the child moving inside her, a child that was not fully alien, not fully human, but something new. She didn't know if she should feel fear or pride. Her advisors plotted in the shadows. They whispered of killing her before the child was born. They feared the unknown. They feared what the child might become. But the queen, despite her confusion, felt one thing clearly: she would protect this child. She would see it born, because deep inside, a voice whispered to her, "This child will change everything." And far away, beyond the stars, something ancient and watching stirred awake. Something that feared the union of human and alien, because it knew a new power was rising. The Growing Life in Simple Basic English, written in third person with an engaging and unique style, and all sentences ending with commas. The days passed, but peace did not return to the queen's mind. Every night, strange dreams filled her. Sleep, she saw places she had never seen, oceans that stretched forever, skies filled with birds, children laughing, people smiling under a warm sun. She had never known such visions. Her world was metal, stone, and war. But now, every time she closed her eyes, the dreams returned. She woke up sweating, her heart pounding. This was not just a pregnancy, it was something else, something deeper. Her body changed faster than anyone expected. The child growing inside her was not like any alien child. It grew fast, strong, and its energy was strange. She could feel it, a heartbeat that was powerful and calm. Sometimes when she touched her belly, she felt warmth, a warmth she had never known. It scared her. It fascinated her. Her scientists begged her to let them study the child, but she refused. No one would touch it. No one would harm it. And still, her mind burned with questions. She found herself walking, without guards, to the prison again. There sat the human, Captain Rourke. He was still calm, still watching. It was like he knew everything that was coming. "Why do I see your world in my dreams?" the queen demanded. Rourke looked up, his eyes gentle but firm. "Because the child is both of us," he said. "Part human, part alien. It connects us in ways you can't understand yet." "I don't want these dreams," she snapped. "I don't want this weakness." "It's not weakness," Rourke said softly. "It's understanding. You're seeing what we see, feeling what we feel." She stared at him. "No alien has ever shared my mind like this," she said. "No alien ever could," Rourke replied. "But humans, we're different." His words haunted her. She returned to her chambers. But the dreams became stronger. She started hearing voices, soft whispers in her mind. Not threats, not screams, but songs, laughter, words of hope. It was like the child was teaching her without speaking. Then came the day she felt it move for the first time. A gentle kick, then another. Her heart stopped. She placed her hand there, feeling it again. For a moment, she smiled without knowing why. But outside her chambers, the palace was not smiling. Her advisors grew restless. They saw her changes. They heard rumors of the child. They feared what it meant. A child born from a human and their queen. It was unthinkable. In secret meetings, they plotted. "She is losing herself," one advisor whispered. "She dreams like a human. She feels like them. If this child is born, it could be the end of our empire," another hissed. They planned to kill the queen before the birth, to keep the empire pure. But the queen was no fool. She felt the betrayal before it came, and the child inside her seemed to warn her. Every time danger was near, she felt the heartbeat faster, a signal, a warning. One night, she stood on her balcony, looking at the stars. Rourke's words echoed in her mind, "Part human, part alien. What are you, child?" She whispered, "What are you making me become?" And deep in the prison, Rourke smiled. He closed his eyes. He could feel it too. The connection between them was growing. He didn't know how, but he knew this child was special, not just a mix of DNA, but a bridge between two worlds. The queen, once proud and untouchable, now stood on the edge of something new. She felt it in her bones. The empire would never be the same. She would never be the same. And in the dark corners of space, other powers watched, silent, waiting, fearing what this child could bring. They knew a change was coming, and change was always dangerous. The birth of something new written in simple, engaging English, third-person style, with unique tone and suspense. Every sentence ending with a comma. The sky above the alien palace was dark with storms. Thunder rumbled. Lightning flashed. The queen stood alone in her chamber, breathing heavy. Her body ached. Her mind was foggy. She knew the time had come. The child was ready. Her guards waited outside, worried and confused. No queen had ever given birth. Their kind did not reproduce like this. They created life in tanks, in labs. But this was different. This was nature, raw and powerful. The queen roared in pain, her claws digging into the stone walls. Her body burned, her heart raced. But inside that pain was something else, strength. The child inside her was fighting to be born, and she was determined to bring it into the world. Hours passed. Sweat dripped from her forehead. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever. Then, with one final cry, the pain stopped, and the child was born. The room fell silent. The queen stared at the small figure in her hands. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, skin pale like a human, but with traces of violet like hers, eyes large and shining, fingers long but soft, a perfect blend of human and alien. She held the child close, confused by the feelings inside her. This was not just her offspring. This was something else, a symbol, a bridge. Suddenly, the chamber doors burst open. Her top advisor stormed in with soldiers, their weapons pointed at the queen. "Step away from that creature, my queen," the advisor said coldly. "You must not let it live." The queen looked up, her eyes blazing. "You dare threaten me in my own chamber?" She hissed. "This thing is a danger to us all," the advisor barked. "It is a human infection in your blood." The queen stood tall, holding the child close. "Call it what you want," she said, "but this child is mine, and no one will touch it." The soldiers hesitated. They feared the queen, but they also feared the unknown. The advisor raised his hand to order the attack. Then the queen's voice rang like thunder. "I will tear apart anyone who tries," she warned. Her power filled the room. The soldiers stepped back, their instincts telling them not to fight her. Not now. Not when she stood burning with rage and strength. But the advisor didn't back down. "This is not over," he spat. "The Empire will not accept this freak." He stormed out, leaving threats in his wake. The queen looked down at the child. It stared back at her, not crying, not afraid, just watching, silently. She felt its heartbeat, steady, strong. And then, something strange happened. A voice echoed in her mind, soft and clear. "Mother," she gasped. Stepping back, the child had spoken, not with its mouth, but in her mind. She stared at it, her heart racing. You spoke," she whispered. The child smiled, just a little, and again. The voice in her mind, "I am here, I am safe." Tears filled her eyes, something she hadn't felt in centuries. This child was not just flesh. It was something more, a being of connection, of unity, in the prison. Rourke sat up suddenly. He felt something too, a connection in his mind. He smiled to himself. "The child is awake," he said softly, "and it knows." Outside the palace, the skies rumbled, storms grew heavier, change had come to the Empire. And beyond the stars, distant enemies watched. They felt the new life's presence, and they were afraid, because the birth of the hybrid was not just a miracle. It was a warning. The galaxy would never be the same again. Betrayal and War, written in simple, unique, engaging English, third-person style, and with all sentences ending in commas. The palace was no longer a place of peace. Every hallway whispered with fear. Every corner held shadows of betrayal. The queen knew her enemies were growing bold. The birth of the hybrid child had shaken the Empire. Some called it a miracle, others called it a curse. But in the deepest halls, the advisors gathered in secret. They plotted while the queen slept, their leader. The same advisor who stormed the queen's chambers stood before them. "She is weak," he said, his voice sharp as a blade. She is no longer the queen we followed, that human child. Inside her blood is poison. The others nodded. We must act now, one whispered. Before the child grows, before it changes us all. Their plan was simple. Kill the queen, kill the child, blame it on the humans' dark magic. Then take the throne, restore the empire's power, pure and untainted. But the queen was not blind. She felt the danger closing in. The child inside her arms would stir, its mind touching hers. It showed her flashes, images of knives, of betrayal, of blood. She knew the attack was coming. She needed help, and there was only one being she could trust. The human, Rourke. In the dead of night, she went to his prison. The guards tried to stop her, but her glare made them freeze. She ripped open the cell door herself. Rourke stood up, already waiting. You felt it too, she said. Rourke nodded. They're coming to kill you and the child. The queen's pride burned, but she swallowed it. I need you, she admitted, not as a prisoner, but as an ally. Rourke smiled. I was waiting for you to say that. She handed him a weapon, a blade made of alien steel. Fight with me, she said. Save the child. I will, Rourke promised. Because that child, it's not just yours, it's ours. Together, they prepared for the attack. The queen summoned the few soldiers so loyal to her. They gathered in the throne room, weapons ready, outside. The rebels marched with torches and guns. The traitor advisor led them, his eyes burning with hatred. Tonight, he shouted, we end this madness. We take back the empire. The queen stood tall, the child in her arms, Rourke at her side. You will not take my throne, she declared. You will not touch my child. The battle began. Blades clashed, lasers fired. The palace shook with the sounds of war. Rourke fought with skill, moving like a shadow. He cut through soldiers, protecting the queen's side. She herself was a storm of power, claws tearing through enemies, but they were outnumbered. The traitor advisor reached the throne, his blade aimed for the child, but the queen blocked him. Roaring in rage, still he was fast. Strong, they struggled, and then the child opened its eyes. A pulse of energy exploded from the child, invisible but powerful. Everyone in the room stopped, their minds filled with visions, peace, unity, connection. Even the rebels dropped their weapons, staring in shock. The queen looked down. The child's eyes glowed bright. It was not afraid. It was controlling something deep within them all. The advisor screamed, covering his head. What is this witchcraft? He shouted, but the queen smiled. It's not witchcraft, she said. It's evolution. The rebels ran, terrified of the power they couldn't understand. The battle was over, but the war was not. The queen knew more would come. More would try to kill them. But now she had Rourke by her side. She had her child, and she had a vision of an empire stronger than ever. An empire of both human and alien blood. Far beyond the palace, hidden in space, others watched. Enemies who feared this new power. They prepared their armies because they knew if the queen and the humans survived, the galaxy would change forever. Asterisk the power of unity in simple, unique, and engaging English, third-person style, ending every sentence with a comma. The palace walls still carried the scars of battle, but inside the throne room, a new kind of peace was growing. The queen sat on her throne, the hybrid child resting quietly in her arms. Rourke stood beside her, his eyes always watching the shadows. He knew enemies still waited, but something had changed. The child was growing faster than anyone expected. In days, it looked like a human child of 3 years. It could walk, it could speak, but most strange of all, it could touch minds. The queen felt it first, when the child placed its small hand on hers. She felt warmth, not on her skin, but deep in her mind. She saw visions of Earth, of its people. She saw her own world, but different, not ruled by war, but by unity. The child whispered in her mind, "We can bring peace. We can join them." Rourke felt it too. When the child touched him, he felt the queen's emotions, her pride, her strength. Her hidden fears, they were connected now. All three of them, human, alien, and something new. The Queen held her head, breathing heavy. "This is strange," she said. "I feel everything." Rourke nodded. "It's not weakness," he said. "It's understanding." Slowly, the Queen's loyal soldiers came to see the child. They were afraid at first, but when the child touched them, their fears melted, their minds filled with visions of unity, of strength and peace. Some dropped to their knees, swearing loyalty not just to the Queen, but to the child. Word spread through the Empire. Some came to kill the child, but others came to protect it. A new army formed. Aliens and a few hidden humans from past wars. Together, they trained under Rourke's guidance. Together, they followed the Queen's command, for the first time. The Queen saw her empire not as a collection of conquered worlds, but as something that could be whole. She stood beside Rourke, looking over their growing forces. "What is this feeling?" she asked. Rourke smiled. "Hope," he said. They worked day and night. The child continued to grow. Learning, teaching, it spoke in minds, connected thoughts. It showed them visions of a future where both species lived together. No walls, no wars, but peace was not easy. Far in the dark reaches of space, a powerful enemy watched. An ancient species that ruled from the shadows. They had crushed unity before. They had kept the galaxy divided for eons. And now they feared the child. They sent spies, assassins, but the child sensed them before they struck. The Queen hunted them down. Her claws sharp, her mind sharper. Rourke led missions, gathering more allies from distant planets. Everywhere they went, the child's power connected more minds. Differences faded. Trust grew. The Queen changed too. She no longer ruled with fear. Alone, she listened, she learned. She felt emotion she had never allowed herself to feel. Trust, respect, even love. One night, standing under the alien stars, she looked at Rourke. "You were right," she said softly. "We are stronger together." Rourke looked back. "I told you," he said with a grin. Humans always surprise. The Queen looked at the child, who stood between them. Their hands joined. 3 lives connected, 3 minds united. But the stars whispered of danger. The ancient enemy was coming. With ships, weapons, and hatred. They wanted to destroy the child before it could reshape the galaxy. The Queen, Rourke, and their hybrid child stood ready. Their army waited behind them. The final battle was coming, and this time it was not just for survival. It was for the future of every world, for a new empire of unity. And deep inside, the child smiled because it knew the power of unity was stronger than any army. A new empire written in simple, unique, and engaging English, third-person style, ending every sentence with a comma. The stars burned bright as warships filled the sky. The ancient enemy had arrived. Their fleet was massive, stretching like a shadow over the Queen's world. Their message was simple: surrender the child or face destruction. But the Queen stood tall on the palace walls, Rourke beside her. The hybrid child stood between them. Silent but calm, their army waited below, human and alien together. They knew the fight ahead would decide the fate of the galaxy. The Queen looked at her child. "Are you ready?" she asked. The child nodded. "Yes, mother," it said in her mind. "It is time." The battle began. The sky lit up with fire. Alien ships clashed with enemy warcraft on the ground. Soldiers fought with blades and blasters. The Queen led the charge, her strength unmatched. Rourke fought beside her, fast and clever. But the enemy was endless. Then the child stepped forward. It raised its small hands, eyes glowing bright. A wave of energy spread across the battlefield. Suddenly, enemy soldiers froze. Their minds filled with visions of peace, of unity. They dropped their weapons, confused, shaking. Some fell to their knees, tears in their eyes. The child was not killing them. It was showing them a different path, a future without war. But the enemy leaders, high in their ships, resisted. They fired their deadliest weapons. lasers of destruction aimed at the Queen. The child and Rourke. The Queen shielded the child. With her body, Rourke stood in front too, ready to die. But the child raised its hand again. A shimmering barrier of light formed around them. The weapons hit the barrier, but nothing broke through. The child's voice echoed in every mind. No more death, no more hate, one by one. Enemy ships powered down. Their weapons stopped, their engines fell silent. The soldiers aboard felt their hatred melt. They dropped to the floor, defeated. Not by force, but by peace. The ancient enemy was broken. Their leaders surrendered, unable to fight a power that touched the soul. Silence filled the battlefield. Then the Queen raised her arm and roared. Her army cheered. They had won. But this was not just victory, it was rebirth. The Queen stood before her people. Today we are no longer just conquerors, she said. We are united, human and alien. This child is the future. She looked at Rourke. You taught me what strength really is, she said. Rourke smiled. And you taught me that even the fiercest queen can change. The Queen laughed, a sound rare and bright. She looked at the child. You changed us all, she whispered. The child smiled back. We changed together. Years passed, the empire grew. But not by war. Worlds joined willingly. Peace spread across the stars. The Queen ruled not alone, but with Rourke by her side, and the child, now a wise leader, guided them both. But deep in space, in the darkest corners, something watched, another enemy, older and colder. They saw the new empire, and they did not like it. One day, they would come, but the Queen, Rourke, and the child would be ready, because together, they were stronger than any enemy. Together, they were a new empire, and this was just the beginning.